All right, let's go into the interview. So, I'm going to be focusing 100% on you. All right, are you ready? So, first question. What sex were you biologically born with, male or female?
I was born as a male. It was an okay childhood whilst growing up being male. I didn't really understand gender whilst growing up. It was more of a, if I wanted to play with it, I would play with it. My parents wouldn't stop me from doing anything to express who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And as I started to develop within puberty, it was at that point I realised I wasn't really masculine, I wasn't emasculated. There was no like proper gender within me at that point during my pubescence. And then a lot of people commented saying I was quite feminine, how the tone of my voice didn't match. So my kind of appearance didn't actually match my biologically born exterior. So
okay.
As the years went on, I decided to align my brain with my body.
Okay, you're already answering a lot of questions there. Okay, what gender do you today identify to?
I identify as female, a proud trans woman, and I have identified as that for the last 10 years.
Beautiful. And that's who you are, a truly
That is who
beautiful
I am.
woman today. Isn't she beautiful? Give us some love. Next question. When did you realize that you were not who you were born as?
Like I previously said, it was through going through puberty, and around the age of 17 I realised I wasn't like the boys at school. I didn't play rugby, I wasn't into any sports. I was in the girls group for sport because I was so bad at it and had no muscle. I would be knocked to the floor in football or rugby, so I was sent to the girls group to play badminton and squash and little feeble
Oh, bless you.
sports that wouldn't damage me.
Okay. So you were more than a teenager then
Yeah,
at
so
school.
I was around the age of 17. It was near prom time because I was wondering why I had to go in a suit and tie, and I was getting to see everyone going out and being glamorous in these gorgeous ball gowns, and I felt like I was about to appear in court in a horrible
Oh, bless
outfit.
you. I can't imagine what it must be like. So next question. Have you ever felt stereotyped because you are transgender?
This is one of them topics that will bite a bit, and it might go either way with the audience as well, because it's normally straight men that stereotype me. They either see me as a fetish or a form of conquest.
Ooh.
It's something new to them. When they see a trans person who is transitioning from male to female, they like the idea of that person being in between genders because it's a new experience, whereas they could go out and get any biologically born female, and so they like to find something different that's more edgy, something that's gonna be drawn to them, because we as trans people love to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
So we look for affection and we go wherever we can find it.
Yeah, it can't be. Yeah, it can't be easy all the time because
No.
you're appealing to so many different people.
But yeah, it's mainly straight men who see us for fetish or a sexual desire. And then when we have surgery or become post-operative, we're not a challenge anymore. We're not something that straight men would tend to go for, because they could easily have a biological female who they can reproduce with, whereas I don't have ovaries or a womb, so I can't give them that. So I'm just discarded to the rubbish pile because it's something that they would just think, oh, well, she's not got that down below anymore, so she's not an experiment or something exciting, or, in the words of other trans people, exotic.
Wow, this is exotic conversation, that's for sure. I mean, this is mind-blowing what trans people go through just to feel that love in general,
Yeah.
and feel that they have to accept the law from wherever it comes from for whatever reason that may be. So you have to be a very brave person to go through transitioning.
You do. It's a very hard topic, but the worst part is most stereotyping actually comes from within the LGBT community itself.
Oh.
We had a couple of prides ago, a group of lesbian activists came to the march and stated trans women were not real women, and they were against trans people being in the parade because it wasn't within their feminist ways. And it was shocking to see that coming from your own community that's meant to support you and help you through things, because they should understand what it's like to come out and be segregated or rejected. And it's the hardest thing in the world to think that some random person in the street who doesn't know you or what's in your heart, your personality or soul, can just look at you and judge you and just go, she's not female. But they don't know me. They don't know what my brain goes through. They don't know what my body goes through with hormones. So you get stereotyped for the littlest of things. I mean, I've known some trans people who haven't had a shave for a week because they have to let it get to the right length to have electrolysis. So they'd walk down the street and some man would ogle them, see the shadow, and then because they're presenting as female, they would then get heckled and called male. And that can be quite embarrassing in a wide public eye. Say you're walking down the street and all you hear is tranny being yelled at you, or he, she, all of the stereotypical words. It's diminishing and very heartbreaking.
It's really shocking. It does happen at every pride. It does happen every day of the week. Somewhere in the universe, some trans people are being attacked. Some trans people are being blamed for being who they are, including all the LGBT plus community, including me as a gay man, and who I get discriminated. But what you're going through, what you've gone through, and you still are, has been the most unbelievable
runny nose, sorry.
most unbelievable challenge that you had to go through. But let's ask you another question. We could talk all night about this. Do you think the transgender community is being more stereotyped than any other LGBTQ community?
I would say so, because there's a lot of umbrellas now under the trans name, such as non-binary, gender fluid, gender queer, gender questioning. When I was transitioning about 10 years ago, I only had the options of male or female, not regretting my choice to present as fully female. But these terms were very fluid to me. I didn't know what they were. I didn't understand them. And it's only a couple of months that have passed. And I've had to find out what these terms are to broaden my own horizon. Because if I can't love myself, and these people who may need my help and advice, then it's not going to work. Because if I can't love me, I can't teach someone else to love themselves.
Correct.
Because it would just be hypocritical of me. But the fact that there are so many terms out there now, I mean, Facebook says there's over 300 different genders, which is insane.
Wow.
It's one of those things. And I couldn't care if someone was trans, gay, lesbian, non-binary, gender questioning, anything under the umbrella, so long as they show me love and accept me for me, then I will reciprocate that back. There's no point in judging someone. Suicides are happening all around the world because trans people are not accepted for who they are. They're not able to express themselves. There's children in America the age of 13 that are killing themselves because they can't be their true gender. There's people in countries like Africa, they can't be drag queens either. I think it was Bibi Zahara Benet said that she got an email stating that if she was to return to Africa, they would kill her for being a drag queen. Now, imagine trying to live as a trans woman in Africa. The fact that a gay man can dress as a woman, as a drag queen, and be threatened for murder. Think how they would feel if they found that a trans woman was living there, presenting as female, and then a member of the tribe or village found out they were trans, they would kill them.
Probably.
And that's still happening around the UK. Trans people are forced to work as sex workers because surgery and stuff costs thousands, and it's not funded by the NHS either. The only part that is funded is genital surgery, but the waiting list to even be seen by a surgeon can be anything from 2 to 5 years. Now that's such a long process, and you have to be presenting as female and watched by a psychiatrist and a social worker for at least 2 years to be considered to even have your name go forward for surgery. The hormone waiting list, I think, to even be seen by a consultant for the Nottingham gender clinic that I go to, I know is at least 3 years just to go and see them for a 15-minute chat. And you're travelling for 3 hours there and back just to go, hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. Then you have to wait. You'll then get sent away. Your doctor will then request your bloods. And, it's such a long process.
It's a list of never ending. And when you're going through this transition, a week may sound like it's months worth of waiting.
A week is like 3 to 4 years in trans terms. You know, they say dogs, 1 year for them is 7. With us trans people, we take hormones for 1 day and think we've been on it for about 20 because of the amount of changes that go through the body. It's shocking.
So it's fascinating. And remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to send us a message personally or to comment down below. Next question. Do you feel more needs to be done to make the transgender community fairer? If so, what do you think should be done?
I do, but I don't think it's just the trans community that needs to have that more support put in place. I believe it's everyone from the LGBTQI community.
Yeah.
Because we all need to be there to love each other and support each other, because if we can all unite and come together, that's more love than the world needs to get through a dark time. And the things that I would love to see put in place is more education going through schools to teach people about LGBTQ, have lessons to do with being trans, you know. I had health classes in school where they would teach us about being gay, sexual health and everything, and I don't think or know if that goes on in schools anymore, but that would be the perfect class to teach someone, because the best way is to work with children because they're going to be our future. So if we can project to them, show them the right ways and how to support a community, that's how things will progress in the future, because we've set that level for them to look up to, and then we can move forward and progress alongside them, and everyone can just join in unity, hand in hand, and spread love across the world.
And I completely agree with you, Pixie, because in the work that I do as a charity queen, and you know, I recently went to a school in Norfolk where I was invited to talk about LGBT in general and talk about my coming out story. And it's all about educating. You know, I never blame people for treating us the way that they do necessarily. I blame the system, the way we educate people. But we're very lucky because in Norfolk we have a charity called Norfolk LGBT Plus Project, which is based in Norfolk, Norwich, where they go to schools and educate children and offer training to businesses as well. So if you want to find out more about Norfolk LGBT Plus Project, please feel free to have a look at their website as well, because this is a sort of thing, as you mentioned, we need more across the board, across the UK. You know, we're focusing on UK for now because it's already a big country, but it needs to go everywhere. We're lucky in Norfolk to have this local support, but some communities don't have it at all. So by doing this sort of interviews is great because we're already able to spread the message across the nation through the Facebook Live, for example. No, very good. I love this answer. Okay, so I want to know someone's gender identity, but I don't know how to ask.
Okay, this is the most simplest way. How would you address any person down the street? You don't know they're trans, You just see a person. If you don't know, ask them politely. That's the simplest way. Don't be abrupt about it. There's so many ways you can ask if someone's trans or they're questioning or non-binary. It's just the simple words. What's your pronoun preference? You don't need to know if they're trans or anything. When they state their pronouns, you stick to them, because that's the most important thing, because it makes them feel as though they are the person they have chosen to be.
That's a great answer. I love it. I love how confident you actually are, because before this interview started, we were very nervous to talk about all this. But we haven't got into the deep things yet, have we?
No.
Okay. What sort of challenges a trans person face? A lot. And you've already covered a lot, I know, because you're really inspired by this debate, so you're really going for it.
The list goes on and on.
Feel free to look at your notes.
I will need my notes, I'm sorry. Day-to-day living, mental health is one of the biggest factors for trans people. We're suppressed for so long in a body we don't want to be in. It's actually quite mind-crippling. You have to, unless you know you're trans and you don't suppress it, that's the hardest part, because you have to go through life being trapped, and you have to put on a mask and an act and be someone you're not, unless you're strong enough to emerge from the cocoon and be the beautiful butterflies that we are. That's the one thing that I will say is the hardest part. The wait as well to even be seen. It's ridiculous. 2 to 3 years.
Must be agony.
That's someone's life, you know, which is being controlled by someone else. You can't choose how fast it... Well, you can, but I won't do that. So basically, you're then stuck under the thumb, and you have to wait, and it just pushes your confidence down. It puts you into a dark corner, and you just feel trapped. It feels like there's nothing you can do to be the person you want to be.
There's no light at the end, under the tunnel for you guys when you go through this.
It's awful. There's literally not much support. Or the main support network in the UK is Mermaids, and that's for children. It doesn't support adults transitioning. I mean, in Norfolk we have Oasis, which supports older trans people. The Beaumont Society, if that's still running, runs through the whole of the UK, but that's for a lot older people questioning gender. But when you get to my age, 25 to 28, that the cut-off is from 25. So from where I am now, there is no support. So
That's crazy,
so
isn't it?
if people are my age, you're stuck in limbo until you can get an appointment with a psychiatrist, and it's just a long, long list.
Have you got anything else you want to say on this particular subject? No? Okay.
No.
Do you feel the trans community is getting more accepted and there are positive changes?
I do. I feel that recently the trans community has taken a few steps back to the rise in gender identities, and people are learning who they are, and as things are a lot more fluid, which is quite nice to see that. Learning new demographics, new terminology, everyone's coming together and sharing the love and support. Trans rights are human rights. We are all equal. We have our prides, we stand strong, and we all march together as a community. So, yeah, I would say we are who we are, and I'm proud to be trans. I might not show it at times, but I'm proud of the journey from where I've come from to how I am now.
Beautiful. You look a bit like a mermaid tonight, actually, don't you? With your lovely bluish green hair.
It's not a wig.
It's real hair. Mine is real hair too. All right. So, what does transgender means?
This is one of the biggest parts, because there's so many different trans terminologies. So you have transvestite, which is someone who dresses as female for more of a sexual pleasure. Then you have cross-dressers who dress as men dressing as women, or you can have girls dressing as guys, but they don't want to progress on a transitional gender. So then you have people who are transitioning from male to female or female to male, so they're going in a direction of gender. And then transgendered is someone who's completed their gender process and is living life in the correct body.
Beautifully said. I couldn't have said it as good as you, especially with the accent. All right. What sort of process did you have to go through as a transgender woman?
Okay.
Oh, be prepared.
The list. I'm sorry, I will need my notes for this. So, my transitional journey started at 17. I started with a name change, which I had to get my parents to agree to, and was done legally through a deed poll. Then I had to change my bank accounts, my income, all the tax stuff, all the nitty gritty. And then I spoke to my doctor and was like, I'm not feeling comfortable in my gender. Where do I go from here? He then referred me to a social worker, which I saw for 2 years. The wonderful Barbara Ross, who's no longer with us anymore, bless her soul. And Dr. Ted Olive, who is a highly respected psychologist in Norfolk, but he's now retired. So everyone I had has left. I was chosen for private funding, so I was sent to Harley Street to see Dr. Richard Curtis. And then after 2 years of hormones, I then saw a surgeon called Dr. Phil Thomas, and he did a full body examination, assessed how much genital I had downstairs, what would need to be removed, inverted, how everything would shift to become my new vaginal cavity, and to give me my Gucci Coochie, as I call it. And so yeah, and then I had to have laser and electrolysis to have hair removal, to remove everything downstairs. So when everything's inverted, I didn't get internal hair growth, because that would have just been awful, because they would have then had to cut it all open to then go back in, and it would have been a lot more trauma to the skin. So the area is completely blasted, so the hair is removed permanently, and electrolysis is done through a needle which is inserted under the skin, gives off an electrical current, and it zaps the hair cuticle and reduces its size, and over time the cuticle dies and doesn't come back. So then inversion surgery can begin to basically give you your female genitals. So once that's done, you then wait another 8 months, because you can't have surgery on raw skin. It has to all heal. The hair has to then be checked to see that it's not coming back at an increasing rate. Otherwise, it's more electrolysis and the weight goes on and on and on. So then once the surgeon finds the area is fine, you'll then get a 9-month letter. That's how long mine took after seeing him for them referral surgery. So I was seen in March, and then my surgery was scheduled for December. I had to come off hormones for 3 weeks prior to my surgery to stop any form of deep vein thrombosis from kicking in, or any blood clots. It was torture, because it's like someone's taking your soul and your identity away from you, because you're not having the hormones in your system, so you're not feeling like your true self. And then after the surgery, you then have to wait a further 3 weeks before you can take estrogen again. So it's 6 weeks with basically feeling like a beast, and it's just horrible. So then when you go back on your estrogen, so this is recovery now. So once surgery is done, you then have a recovery period of between 3 months to 6 months, depending on how quick you heal. I was quite young when I had mine, so I had very good tissue and I healed nicely, had no complications whatsoever. I had a great surgeon, thank you, Phil Thomas. And then I had to use a glass dilator to keep the vaginal cavity open, and I had to do that for about a year.
Wow.
before I was able to have sexual intercourse, and the first time, I can really just say it wasn't worth it. I think the glass rod was better.
Thanks for sharing, Pixie. Woo! We are on a roll. Anything else you'd like to say about going through the transgender woman? Any more things you'd like to share with our viewers?
I think I shared quite a bit on that topic, but if you've got any questions, that's what I'm here for.
All right, next question then. What message would you like to share to our viewers, especially?
Be kind to everyone, because you don't know what people are going through. So many people mask and hide their feelings, and the littlest things can set someone off on a downward spiral. I mean, look what's happened to Caroline Flack. Her life was okay, then the media got hold of her and she's no longer here. It could happen to any of us. The wrong words to the wrong people, or, you know, I'm quite a delicate person, so I take everything to heart. So if someone's cruel to me, it really knocks my confidence. So the way I see it is you have to just share the love, because what you put into society, the amount of love you give, it might not be the amount you get back, but at least you're making the effort to try.
Beautiful. That's why we get on really well, because we have the same mission to be kind to the people around us, be kind to ourselves. And by being kind to yourself and being so happy within yourself, it builds up an amazing amount of happy chemicals that everyone around you gets to sense and feel. And even just a smile can make the day of one person so much better.
Smiling increases the blood flow into the brain, which releases serotonin. So, true fact.
Fact. Oh, got no nails on. All right. So, how are we doing? So, wow. Okay. So, I've got another question I have written on there. How is your life today, Pixie Rose?
Oh, here we go. Okay. So, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it in this interview. I might get in trouble, but I am a trans drag queen and a finalist for Miss Drag UK. But on the other hand, she's an engaged woman.
Woo!
She's feeling the love. I'm so much happier than I used to be. I'm free to love who I want, and I've chosen to do so. And no matter what society says, it's my choice, and I found the love that I want to keep for the rest of my life. So
That's beautiful.
sorry about it.
Don't be sorry. You are who you are, and you should be loved for who you are. And I can't wait to meet your fiance. Okay. We talked a bit about this, but because this is nearly the end of the interview, I want to make sure that people who have just joined us a bit later on are aware of where can we go, or can trans people go to find support for mental health, for local support, nationwide, whether.
I am an ambassador and an advocate for Mind. They are an amazing mental health charity that have supported me through a very long journey and battle with mental health. So they are amazing to go to. If you are in Norfolk, we have the MAP project, which has many different areas of expertise that can help you from depression to transitioning. They have a group once a month that allows young trans people to go to the group and be themselves. The group is called Evolved. I was the first patron of the group Evolved, which was set up with a lady called Kitty, who has now moved. And then it was taken over by Adrian, who was a trans person who identified as male but was born female. We then had Katie John went, and she helped the group and gave more of a historical background to trans and how life was before. You also have Mermaids, which is the world organisation for trans people. Their website is amazing. They have a great support line. And one you might not have thought of is the Samaritans. They are there to help anyone with any issues they have, or even if you just need someone to talk to. That's what they're great for. We also have the Norfolk and Norwich crisis line. If you are ever feeling suicidal, then please phone them, because talking helps. As much as people say they're a closed book, I feel once the book is opened and the story flows, it eases off a lot of the pressures of life. And I think there's quite a lot.
It's a lot.
So if anything I haven't answered, just type trans support into Google and then you'll get everything, probably that I've already said, but I can't give you their numbers. The website can.
We will put some comments down below as well with some useful website.
Right.
So first question, have you been under attack from random strangers?
I have. When I first transitioned, I was not this flawless. I was very underweight. I was quite very skeletal, so I was quite picked on for that. I've always been quite good at hiding my gender, but I did have an implication when I was on a night out. A straight man refused to call me female, and it started a whole ruckus, and luckily the security took my side and threw him out.
Wow.
But that doesn't always happen. Some trans people are killed or beaten up.
Sounds dreadful. So the other part of the question, and how do you think any situation can be averted from being attacked, I guess?
If a situation's going to occur, and if you feel that under threat, go and tell a member of staff. But if you're in public, for your own safety, just walk away and don't turn back on it, because there's nothing worse than an altercation happening when you don't need it to. Just love yourself and be yourself. And if they don't like it, you know, there's the door.
Yeah. I mean, Marion, I spoke to Marion personally over the phone a few weeks back because Marion really wanted to talk to someone who could understand the situation and feel like she had a shoulder to cry on, sort of things.
Course.
So I really thank you, Marion, for that, if you're still watching, because that was a very mind-opening, and this is because of this lady that I thought I'll contact you and see if you were interested to talk about trans in general, because there's a lot of people out there who need some love, as we say, and to be kind. And you give us so much love. You are so beautiful. The first time I met Pixie was at a pub in Norwich, and I was mind-blowing by her beauty, and I was like not even aware that she had transitioned at all. To me, you were just a woman, and still today, I can't believe we're talking about this personal life journey that Pixie's gone through. And it's incredible because, once again, you can't judge people around you. You don't know where they come from, you don't know what they've been through, and you don't know what day they are having. So I think that's it. Do you think you want to add something else on this interview, which has been going on for how long now? 36 minutes.
Ooh, that's the longest one I've done. No, I just want you to all remember to love yourself and shine positivity wherever you go. Because, as I said earlier, a smile can change someone's day. It really can.
It truly does.
You don't even have to say anything. I know a lot of people who suffer with anxiety, and just giving them a smile or a nod or a thumbs up can really change their day. So spread the love.
Beautiful. Give me some love.
Mwah. Spread love, not hate.
Like, we love you. If you've been touched by this interview and feel that you need to find support, I will post a post underneath in the comments to make sure that you are being sent to the right people. This is a very, very, open conversation we've had here with Pixie, because Pixie's gone through it all. But so many of you may know someone around you who needs that help, the support and understanding and feeling that this person belongs in their own life. And if you've been affected by anything, please seek for help. Go and see your doctors. Go and see your local mental health supporters. And we're here, Pixie and I. If you have any more questions, we are here forever. Love to you all. Thank you so much for watching. We love you. And this was a live interview from Norwich?
From Norwich, yeah.
In our drag room with Pixie Rose and Miss Delicious. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everyone. Be kind.
Love, love, love.
Love, love, love.